And if you do want to make your confirmation, this is phenomenal because Christ fills you with his Holy Spirit, and he gives you the power and the same Spirit that he had. He puts it in you, and you receive the Holy Spirit in order to help you live out your faith. How many of us are afraid to speak up for our faith because we don't want to be made fun of? How many of us do get made fun of by our friends or by even family, maybe even by our dad or stepdad, or maybe by our uncle or someone that we know, and we never know what to say, and so we just don't say anything at all, and we don't want to talk about it. But the fact is, we can receive the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit gives you the gifts which empower you, and he gives you his strength to live out your faith and be bold. Let me give you an example. You remember the 12 apostles? I like to call them the 12 wimps because they promised to follow Jesus. But when push came to shove and Jesus was being betrayed, they all ran for their life. And they all betrayed Jesus. They all ran away. They didn't want to be captured. They didn't want to be taken prisoner. And even after Jesus died and rose from the dead, they hid in the upper room with the doors locked and the windows closed and everything's barred up. And they didn't want to go out there because the Jews who killed Jesus said, if you preach about Jesus, we're going to kill you too. Or we're going to put you in prison. Or we're going to confiscate your goods or exile you. Something bad is going to happen if you talk about Jesus. So don't. So the apostles went and hid, and Jesus told them to go up to the upper room and stay there until they received the power from on high, the Holy Spirit. Notice he didn't say just, oh, you're going to receive the Holy Spirit. He said you're going to receive power from on high. And on that day, the Holy Spirit, it says, descended through the roof of the place where they were all staying, and it came into each and every one of them. And they even saw like little fire coming and descending down upon them, and they immediately were overflowing with the power of God. The Holy Spirit is the power of the universe. Think about this. I mean, it's the Spirit of God himself. God is eternal, immortal, all-powerful, all-present, everything. He can create planets, solar systems, and everything with the blink of an eye just by his sheer power. And that power he's giving to us. And in fact, the word for power, Jesus said, you're going to receive power from on high. It comes from a Greek word, dunamis, where we get the English word dynamite. Dynamite, which can level cities, can level mountains. This power of dynamite, Jesus said, you apostles are going to receive. And this was the first confirmation. It was the first time that the Holy Spirit was poured out upon them to give them the strength to go out and preach the gospel, to share the gospel of Jesus, and to change the world in some way. And from there, the apostles went and kicked down the doors of the upper room, and they went out to the exact places where the Jews told them not to go. And they started preaching how Jesus was alive. They killed him, but Jesus rose from the dead. And the proof of that is that his Spirit is in us. Watch this. And they would go up to people and they would heal them from blindness. They would heal them, people who were paralyzed. They would heal people who had all kinds of sicknesses and ailments and things that just can't be cured. The apostles could cure them same way that Jesus did, except that Jesus did it by his own power because he was God. And now the apostles have the power of God within them. And so they had that Holy Spirit. And that's one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit. One of the charismatic gifts of the Holy Spirit is healing others and the working of miracles. Some of you may receive that gift at confirmation, and you can help people in the same way, but it takes great faith. But I want you to know that when you receive the Holy Spirit, you receive power. You receive strength. And when you pray and pray and pray and have a really deep prayer life, the Holy Spirit comes into your life. For example, in my life, I used to be afraid too. I was a wimp. People used to make fun of me and say, hey, if you mention Jesus one more time, I'm going to punch you in the face. I'd say, okay, I don't want to mention Jesus anymore. People would say, hey, why are you talking about God? I hate God. You know, what are you, some sort of religious freak or something? And I'd say, no. And I was always afraid to share my faith or to be considered a Jesus freak. I remember one day I was at school